Welcome to Body Buddies, home of the Power Foods lifestyle. Take it one meal, one workout, one day at a time. And now, here's the founder of Body Buddies, Kristy Jo.
Hello, Body Buddies. I'm Kristy Jo. Welcome to another podcast episode where we are talking strategic nutrition, fitness, and mindset. If you are new to the Body Buddies podcast, if you love this, please leave us a review on iTunes. That really, really helps us out. Be sure and tell a friend, and of course, subscribe. So today's part 2 of our mom panel with Lana and Cambria. So if you missed part 1, go back and listen to that. And we're going to go ahead and just dive right in. So we'll start now with part 2. We'll go for about 30 minutes, and then in a few days I'll release part 3, where we will bring it home and wrap up this focus on moms and how to be a little more strategic about everything you're doing, validate some feelings, and help you feel you are not alone. Here we go.
How do you feel about your role as a mother and wife? Cambria, go ahead and answer that.
It's one of the most important roles I've ever played in my life. I've had a lot of fun opportunities to be a leader or work in different job positions, but I absolutely love being a mom and being a wife. Right now, we have just a little bit different setup than we've had in the past, and I just love every adventure that we have and every opportunity that we get to grow together as a family.
That's beautiful. Lana, how about you?
The first thing that came to my mind was overwhelmed because it is so overwhelming to be a mom some days. It just takes everything out of me, emotionally, physically. And there's honestly a lot of days where I feel like I'm failing as a mother. And those are probably the hardest days. But I would say that overall it's such a rewarding job, because when your kids say cute things, or I love you, or they give you hugs, or they forgive you for things that you do that probably aren't the best things, that makes everything worth it. So overall, it's probably the best job that I've ever had.
You know, what's interesting is so many women I talk to tell me about this feeling of they're failing. And so I appreciate you saying that and giving us those other perspectives of how you realize you're not failing and that things are actually going okay. And I'm sure that that's a constant battle for you guys who are so dedicated to your children and your families. And what a beautiful thing that you can be in that role and building truly the next generation of people and building them to be great people. So as you're dealing with that, I'm going to throw in a question that probably you didn't prepare for, because I did give them a list of questions to think about. I didn't want to catch them off guard, but I'm going to catch you off guard. What would you say is a good strategy for women who deal with that feeling in overwhelming, like just all the time? Is there a piece of advice you'd give them or something that's helped you? Cambria, go ahead and answer that.
I honestly feel that making sure that I have a way to step away from my kids at times helps to be able to cope. Whether sometimes it does get really rough and it does get frustrating. You have certain activities and schedules and everything, and to be able to find some me time and to refocus and to just have some quiet time is important to be able to be the best parent I can be. Because like it was said previously, there are times that I do feel like I'm failing, but if I can be able to refocus and prepare, which doesn't happen a lot, but it is important to be able to have that opportunity.
So let me ask you a follow-up question to that. How do you step away?
Well, one of my big things is physical activity. I try to just be physically active, and that helps me be able to step away at least once a day. I'm lucky the gym that I go to has child watch, but then if we're at home and things are kind of crazy, I do sometimes just say, okay, kids, go watch a movie or go read your books, and I make sure to get them. I mean, it's hard when the almost 2-year-old is, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. It is hard to step away, and it is hard to find time, and you can't always do it. You just try your best.
Thank you. Lana, how about you? How do you deal with any of those feelings when they do come up, and pieces of advice you'd give other women?
I would say to let your children see your vulnerability, because we are human too. And I just had an experience just the other day, in fact, when I just got frustrated with my daughter. I asked her if she wanted to help me cook, and that's one of my biggest frustrations, is them letting them help me cook, because I just like to have control over things, and it's really hard for me to like be okay with making messes. And so I kind of got angry and upset, and I just felt so bad about it. And I was just in tears, and they had been sick this past week, and there's just been a lot going on, and I just felt just so like my temper was just right on the surface, and I felt so bad about it, and I was crying, and my daughter made me these cute little pictures, and she was like, "Here, Mommy, I made you these pictures to help you feel better, and why are you crying, and why are you sad?" And I just frankly told her, "Nellie, I don't know how to be a mom. I am just trying the best that I know how, and sometimes I make mistakes too. We've talked about making mistakes and learning from them." And I just told her, I make mistakes too, and I have to learn from my mistakes. And so that's the first thing. And then just exercise. That is my lifeline. And if I don't get that exercise every day, it really affects how I am as a mother and how I'm feeling about the job that I'm doing. And also just prayer in the morning. Like, we say a prayer every morning, me and the girls, and it makes all the difference. Like, if I'm kind of on edge, I'll be like, wait, we didn't say our prayer this morning. Let's say our prayer. And it always sets such a good mood in our house. So probably those are the biggest things.
Well, and there's so much in that vulnerability that I think is really cool, what you said, and being real with your kids and letting them see that you're human and you're learning. I don't know about you guys. When I was growing up, I thought my mom was perfect. I still do.
Exactly.
But being able to see that you are growing, that the parent is growing right alongside with the child, and that's a beautiful thing. So you both talked about getting that workout in for yourself. Now, many of the people I work with will tell me about something they call a guilt complex, and where it's like, oh my gosh, like I need to be caring for my kids and my husband 24/7. So tell me your thoughts on that, Cambria. How do you get over that? Do you deal with that? Do you know what they're talking about, and anything about that?
Oh, I definitely think I know what they're talking about. I almost feel like there's a cycle sometimes of that guilt. And it's how it was mentioned that there are times that we as moms get upset and our children see that and everything, and then we have that guilt, and then we try to do better. I think it's part of the growing process, and as long as we're trying to learn from our mistakes, we can progress. I believe if we were to ever completely get to the point where you're just a perfect mom and I don't have guilt, I never do anything wrong, I think we're doing something wrong, definitely, because we're not growing and we're not learning. And so I think to keep that in mind, that as we have these struggles, it is part of becoming a better parent and a better individual. And to keep a positive mindset isn't always easy, but if we can, it will help us grow, even through those hard times where we do feel absolutely horrible about ourselves being a mom, thinking, oh, I can't do this, or I'm going to ruin my kids. It will help us to move forward, trying to be positive and trying to realize that we are growing.
And so it's okay. It's okay to realize you're important too in that growth. And so you're not failing by keeping yourself going, right? And realizing if you burn out, what do you have to give? if you don't feel confident, if you don't feel good in your skin, what energy, what confidence do you have to give back to your family and your kids? Thank you, Cambria. Go ahead and take that question, Lana, about the guilt complex.
I used to have guilt complex. I did. Mostly, ironically, before I had children, though, and because I would work all day long, and then I would have to make time after work to exercise when I probably should have been spending time, or I thought I should have been spending time with my husband. But then once I started having children, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, I got, well, long story short, I just decided that I was going to do that. I was going to put myself first, and I am such a better mom for it. We go to the gym every morning, and that's like our routine, and my children thrive on that routine. They know exactly what's going to happen, what time we're going to leave. We have a little morning routine that we do before we go, and they love it. They're there for an hour, hour and a half. They get to play with the other kids at the gym, and a lot of times don't even want to leave when I go to pick them up because they're having so much fun. And that makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so good that I can go to a place and I can just put my headphones in and I can just have my me time. And I could be so frustrated when I drop them off, and I am like all smiles when I pick them up. I give them big hugs and kisses, and they're so excited to see me, and I'm so excited to see them. And it's just exactly what I need to do a good job and feel good about the job that I'm doing. And, yeah, I don't have guilt complex anymore because it's what I need. And my husband sees that, and he knows that, and he's 100% supportive of that.
Oh, I love it. And, okay, I want to go back to what you said about structure and morning. And I've been working with a particular woman right now and trying to come up with a structure of her day, because oftentimes what I've heard from many of the mothers I've worked with is you just kind of see your whole day, and especially if you're not working, it just kind of is all like one big blah. And it's like there's no structure, no routine, and it can feel overwhelming and just crazy and chaotic. And so getting some structure of, okay, from this time to this time we are doing this, whether it's quiet time, whether it's a learning activity, whether it is going and playing or something. So I'm curious if I can pick both of your brains about maybe just give us a little example of one part of your day or any particular routine as it comes to your time and your kids' time.
Okay, so when I had my first child, I just felt like we watched TV all morning long, and it drove me crazy. And so when I had my second, when you have a newborn, you're just like in survival mode. And I just remember just trying to survive the first 6 months of their life, because that's when it really affects me the most. And then, so I think or maybe it was before, I can't even remember how long we've been doing it, but one day I just said, that's it. Like, we are doing something different. I'm coming up with a routine. I came up with a chart. I printed it off the computer, and I laminated it, and I put it on the fridge, and I just came up with some things that we do. And what we do is we read one article from The Friend magazine. It's an LDS children's magazine. We just read one article. We say a prayer. They have to eat breakfast, get dressed, brush their teeth, and do one job. And they have to do all those things before any TV gets on or comes on. And most of the time, the TV doesn't even come on until after we get home from the gym and we've had lunch and I've laid my baby down. So it's been so good to have that morning routine. Like, Nellie just has it down pat. I say, okay, what else do you need to do? And she just knows. And so that's been so helpful, probably the biggest game changer for us.
Wow. That's a great idea. Cambria, how about you? Is there any part of your routine?
I just have to echo what Lana's saying here. We have a very similar structure in the mornings of my daughter wakes up and she says, I'm going to do my chores. And she calls them her chores. I don't think we ever called them that, but she says, I'm going to do my chores. And she wakes up, goes to the restroom, brushes her teeth, makes her bed, gets dressed. She knows that, and we're the same way. We get our certain things done before anything else happens, and the structure helps so much. Right now, I am working full-time for a short time because I'm orienting as a nurse in a new job position, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a year, and then I've gone back to work. And it really has been tough because it's turned my world upside down and my kids' world, and I can tell it's hard on them, but it's so fun the days that I'm home. Like today, I was home. We woke up. It was right back into the routine that they're used to. We got to the gym by 9 o'clock this morning, and we did a few other things, and then nap time came, and Lindley asked, can I watch a movie? Because she knows when my son's down for a nap, she gets to watch her TV show or her movie for that time.
Me too.
And it's great to have a routine. And like I said, we've been out of routine because of work, but the days I'm home, it helps with sanity because we just fall right back into it. And I wanted to say something that you were bringing up about a client you're working with. So Iowa winters are a little bit more tough than Utah winters, but it never stops blowing. It's always windy. It's cold. I think about the pioneers that went through this area and how miserable they must have been, and I don't know how they would have survived. But with that being said, we still had our routine, and no matter how cold it was, even though we didn't have a garage or anything, we would go to the gym, and I would work out, and my kids loved it and looked forward to it. And talking to a friend just a month or so ago, she was saying, I hated winter. It was miserable. It was so hard. And I was like, oh, really? What was so hard about it? And we came to the conclusion that she had a younger baby and wasn't able to get out much and didn't want to go to the gym and take her baby to the daycare because worried of illness. And she was home about double the amount I was home during the winter. And she wasn't able to have a structure, partially because they were home so much, and it made it hard on her. And we would see each other almost every day because we were just a door apart from each other. But I believe, because we had that routine of getting out and doing stuff every day, a much more pleasant experience during the winter than she had. And I think just that organization and trying to have structure makes for a happier home.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because depression, anxiety, that's something else I hear a lot from women, whether it's winter or not. And so maybe kind of going that direction now, is that, well, I mean, first of all, physiologically and being a nutritionist, the postpartum depression is absolutely real. And the severity of it will differ from woman to woman. I'm curious if either of you have experience with that, or maybe some depression or anxiety that maybe came in later. And do you think that that's prevalent? Do you think there are ways to cope and manage better than others? Cambria, why don't you go ahead with that one?
I've been pretty blessed, I feel, to not have to deal with postpartum depression. Anxiety, again, I haven't had to deal with this stuff very much compared to a lot of people out there, a lot of individuals, but I have had to deal with a little bit of anxiety here and there, and it's normally when I've been in school, I've been working, trying to do the mom thing to the best of my ability, trying to clean the house, all of that stuff piles up, and I get to the point where I'm like, I can't function, I can't compute this, and bless my husband's heart, he normally recognizes that, and he will say, you need to go to the gym. You need to go work out. Go take time for yourself. And it's funny because I am very dependent on working out as a stress reliever, and it's been like that since we've gotten married. He's recognized when I need, and that's my big relief. It's not, for other people, they have other strategies, but for me, if I work out, I can all of a sudden come home and face my problems and then be able to function and process so much better, and my anxiety drops. And so that's the only bit that I've had to deal with in my life, and that's the only way I've kind of learned how to cope. And sometimes sleep helps, but most of the time I haven't worked out for a couple of days, and I need to take that time.
Thank you. Lana, how about you?
Yeah, I would say sleep and working out gets me through the days, those early days. I never struggled with depression or anxiety until I had a baby, and it was terrible. I was just in tears every day. My husband would come home, and I would be in tears. And I always tell people, it rocked my world to have a baby because it was such an adjustment for me. I was 30 years old when I had my first, and it was just such a big adjustment. I get my sleep every night. That is so important to me. So to go from getting a good night's sleep to just being woken up every 2 hours every night for the first little while is so hard. You get headaches. You're just not thinking straight. You have so much responsibility. With the first one, you don't know anything what you're doing. The second's better because at least you're kind of prepared. But that first one, I don't know, I just felt like I was in a tornado most of the time. And I tell people I'm in survival mode for the first 6 months because that's how I feel like. I'm just trying to survive every day. And I'm just trying not to go crazy. But when my husband gets home from work, I say I'm going to the gym. And even if I'm just walking around that track for that first little while, that's what I do. I just put in my headphones and I just walk around the track. And I feel so much better when I come home. But yeah, it's very real. I would say a lot of women that I have talked to, a lot of friends, a lot of neighbors definitely experience that. And it's very common, but I just deal with it with exercise mostly and then time by myself. A girls' night out, a walk around the track, even if I'm just going outside for a little bit just by myself. That helps a ton.
Thank you, both of you. Some great strategies shared there for how to cope and manage. And I think the biggest thing I'm hearing is that we have control. And I say we because I'm a woman too. Even though I'm not a mom, still a woman. We all have a choice every single day. Now realizing there absolutely is going to be hormonal and chemical imbalances that we should be doing what we need to balance that out. If medications are required, then go that route. But on a nutrition level, we know the power of being able to balance our bodies to the best of our abilities. And I will say, throw in my little plug, everybody should be taking 5,000 international units of D3 and 2 to 4 grams of fish oil, omega-3s, every single day. That does wonders for helping balance those chemicals in your brain. So now that I've taken it that nutrition direction, I'm so curious about my next question because this is something people ask me, and I'm like, guys, I have no idea because I don't have kids. So how do you deal with picky children and helping them eat more nutritiously? Are there any secrets or tricks and things like that? Cambria, go ahead and take that.
I kind of want to hear Lana's response first on this one.
There you go.
Oh, my word. I have no idea.
You don't have
I was
picky
just thinking. No, I do. I totally have picky kids. My first is very picky. The only veggie she likes, I kid you not, is carrots. And so I have to bribe her, like, okay, you have to have 2 carrot sticks before you can have anything else. And she'll just cry and complain about it, and I'll just say, sorry, that's the rule. And it's just 2 carrot sticks, and I cut them up so small. Or other things is like tonight we had steamed broccoli, and I'll just pick like one little floret, and I'll just chop it up really small, and I'll just mix it in with her dinner, and she'll usually eat it that way. She'll complain about it, but then she'll usually eat it. And we have to sit there with her a lot of times and help her because she just won't do it. So it is so hard. I don't even know. My youngest is a lot less picky, but I started giving her like real food just from my plate when she was 6 months old. And so I feel like and plus I've been eating a lot healthier since I had her. I didn't get into the Power Foods lifestyle till my other one was like 1 or 2. my youngest got more exposure to more veggies, and I have more veggies when we're on the go that I'll share with her. And so it's just different. It's really hard. I'll make like homemade waffles, and I'll put carrots and zucchini and pumpkin in those, or with pancakes, or I just try and sneak things in like that whenever I can, but it's tough.
Great ideas there. Okay, Cambria, what do you think?
I think one thing that's important is exposing them young and start introducing them when they're young. It's hard because you don't want to, in my opinion, you don't want to battle your child and force them to eat things, but we have done that with our kids because we know what's good for them. And so you just have to find a balance. I remember when we started having our older ones eat salad, and that was a nightmare. She fought, and we just, okay, one bite. She loves, like, steamed broccoli, and she loves other vegetables, but there's nights where I don't cook vegetables, and we just have salad. And it took quite a while. My husband and I have very vivid memories of that experience. Well, she now eats almost every vegetable without complaining, and there's some vegetables she doesn't like, but we also mix it in with whatever we're eating for dinner, and she's very good at taking bites with her other foods because she says she doesn't taste it. And so we're lucky with her. And then she has been the biggest help with our little one on eating the vegetables, because if she eats it, he normally eats it. And so him eating salad, he just, because she had it on her plate, he wanted it too. And he just eats salad like it's no big deal. And I feel like he started eating salad younger than most kids do. But we've had to, now that he's starting to get older, he's starting to become a little more picky and not just wanting to eat what she's eating. And depends on the night, depends what's going on. But one trick, and this might be a horrible solution, but one trick we did with both of our kids, if we were having a rough night and they were just fighting and bawling, we pulled out one little pack of Smarties. And if they would take a bite of a vegetable or a bite of something they didn't want, we gave them one Smartie. And then they would eat another bite of something else, and we would give them one Smartie. And lots of times they ate the Smartie with whatever was in their mouth, which sounds nasty, but it got us through multiple meals. It gets us through multiple meals because, and we rarely do it, but there are times where we're like, okay, we're at our wits' end, or we pull some chocolate chips out of the freezer. Here's 10 chocolate chips. Because the younger they are, I think they have a hard time correlating get a reward when you're done eating, because sometimes you just have to bribe your kids to so it's like, okay, there's 10 chocolate chips every bite of food you eat, and 10 bites is normally most of the meal. You get a chocolate chip or you get a Smartie. And I think they don't expect it every meal. They really don't. They just, sometimes it's that little extra push that they need to get the good part of the meal into their body.
Oh, what a good idea. So interesting. You know, since I don't have kids, I definitely observe how my nieces and nephews interact with me, especially because I'm known as, the healthy one. I'm the healthy auntie. And what I have found, and some of my siblings laugh a little bit, but I am pretty confident about this because I've seen the kids react. And I've got nieces and nephews ranging from newborn to, I think the oldest is 9 now. And the biggest thing I have learned is my attitude around the food I eat and the words I use has so much impact. So, for instance, if I'm eating, let's say, my egg whites and spinach and yam, I wouldn't just say, here, try this, eat this. But what I did with my niece, I was like, oh my gosh, my yummy candy potatoes. These are special potatoes. I don't know that you're grown up enough to eat them because they're so delicious, but I'm going to eat them. Oh, I love these. And, just totally getting her psychologically wired, hello, I want these. She's like either 2 or 3, I can't remember. But it was hilarious. And finally she's like, Kristy, can I have some candied potatoes? And I was like, well, I don't know, but I guess I'll give you a teeny taste, but I don't think you're going to like them because they're so delicious that you have to be, I think I said something like 4 years old to really like them. And kids are like, oh, they always want to be a little older. And long story short, she tasted it. She's like, oh, I love candy potatoes. And it was so cute. And I've seen that kind of psychology work with a lot of the kiddos. There is one of my nephews that won't eat meat just yet. He's just stuck on carbs and cheese, but he will eat his almonds with me. He loves his almonds. So it's been interesting to watch that.
All right, Body Buds. Well, that's where we will cut it off for part 2, and hope you stay tuned for part 3, which will be released in a few days. So I hope you've learned a lot from Lana and Cambria. I sure appreciate them sharing their knowledge and wisdom, and they're all in the trenches just like so many of you mothers out there. So keep up the good work. Stay motivated. Stay encouraged. Remember, you are doing one of the most important roles in this world, because if good raising and parenting and teaching is not happening in our homes, really what kind of the next generation can we expect? What kind of discipline, what kind of health habits, what kind of characteristics? And it's just the responsibility here is so great. And so I hope each and every mother listening to this, you will know your role is so incredibly important. So please do your best, and also give yourself the credit you deserve. Even if nobody else around you is, please look yourself in the mirror and know that you are doing one of the most incredible things on this earth. So until next time, power your body, one meal, one workout, one day at a time.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. You can learn more about Body Buddies and Power Foods Lifestyle by going to www.body-buddies.com, BODY-BUDDIES.com, and powerfoodslifestyle.com. That's www.POWERFOODS-lifestyle.com.
Information in this episode is provided for informational purposes and is not meant to substitute the advice provided by your own physician or other medical professional. Information and statements regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.